Well, certainly been a while since I've done any videos, but kind of figured I had enough stuff here to start another one. Uh, I'm doing this guy, Sprinter. I've had this truck in the house for quite some time, and I gave it to my son because I wasn't going to convert it after I got it. First got it, I was like, holy cow, it's quite big, and I just didn't feel like it really fit in with some of my other stuff. But actually, after I saw them in real life, I realized that they are actually a fairly big truck. So I took all the panels off, I took the doors off and everything, and I gave it to my son to play with. And I figured if it stayed in decent enough shape, and I decided I wanted to convert it in the future, I could actually put everything back together on it and have it. And so I decided to do it. The only thing that actually ended up happening was the door. That piece there got broken off, but ever not too bad, really, for a 3-year-old. So I got the axles off on the bottom, and had heard from somebody. They told that didn't tell me, but I remember someone saying to me that this thing is a real challenge to get apart. So I was just kind of looking at it right now and trying to figure out if I actually be able to take this cab off, or if I should just try and mount everything underneath. And I think I'd really rather just take the cab off. It's probably just going to be a lot easier in the long run, even though I think it's going to be hard to take that off. I'm not sure. This is kind of actually a model that I've had sitting around for a long time, like I said, as well as the kit I'm going to use to convert it with. I bought a WPL C34KM kit a long time ago. It's been sitting upstairs in my closet for like over a year, and I was originally going to use it to do an orange metal Tonka truck that I had, which that is still sitting there, and I haven't even touched that. So I don't know if I'll ever get to that, or when I'll get to that, or whatever. It's down the road. But anyways, I decided that I could actually start putting some stuff together and take a couple of steps forward in this project. So I've started messing around with the axles, and I like the axles, honestly. I don't mind WPL. I think their upgraded stuff is a little bit better. I've had some issues with certain stuff, like, yeah, I've had issues with the brass breaking because it's just really soft. The biggest problem I've had with it, honestly, and I don't think it's a big secret, is just that they get pretty sticky and pretty bindy. I've got this one turning, and after quite a little bit of messing around with it, I was looking at a bunch of different things, trying to see if I could come to some conclusions as to what could be causing the issues. And I just think, personally, the biggest issue with it really is just as you squish those two together, this red piece and this back piece here, it just really sandwiches it in tight, and it causes it to bind up, and then it's really difficult to get it to spin. I was going through watching some videos on things people have done, and I went on WPL's website, and the guy, I think the owner of it, had made a video on how to put it together and all that kind of stuff. And you could still kind of hear it binding a bit, I think, even when you put it together. So I kind of came to a couple of conclusions, my own, that I felt that were things that could kind of help free it up a little bit. First of all is when you're putting it together, I kind of feel like you have to kind of put it together a couple times, just to kind of help loosen things up a little bit, get things kind of working together a bit more cohesively. This red cover, first of all, has a lot of red paint on it, and there's the little tits that are on the back of this thing that fix into this, and those are gummed up with paint, so it doesn't really fit very nice. So I was kind of first taking a bit of this emery cloth just to get the paint off of them, and then when I watched the video a little bit more, that he had actually shown, it was kind of a nice little thing. It wasn't him that came up with it, it was another guy. Just took some pliers and just lightly rub them around just to get the paint off, and it does help quite a bit. You just gotta be careful because it's Chinese metal, which is shit. So it doesn't really hold up if you reef on it very much. But it did help that. I drilled out the holes that are on this red plate as well, just to kind of make a little bit more room. Because I wasn't sure if the screws were actually catching on that as well, and then kind of pulling that together unevenly. And if this isn't going evenly, it just really helps to make more binding. And then the last thing was really that, I don't know if you can see or not, but there's actually a little bit of a gap. My camera's old. I have an old iPhone 4S, so it's kind of it's getting a little bit on in its life. But I watched a video there with the guy who had at WPL, and he actually they made little gaskets that you can buy to fit in there, and they're like 85 cents. So it's kind of like, well, I could get them, but I think it's probably going to cost me 20 bucks in shipping on an 85-cent part. So I just came to the conclusion that I'm actually going to pull them apart again, and I'm just going to design and 3D print a little gasket to take up that space. Because if they're not sandwiched together and you leave a little bit of a gap, they run really nice and smooth. But if those are really tight together, then it binds, and sometimes you can't even turn it. And he talks about breaking it in and stuff, which I guess, but you kind of really shouldn't have to if it's, it's not the top quality stuff, but it gets the job done, and I can't find anything else that I can use for these kind of birder builds. It's that with these axles work out really nice for that, so it's good for that, and I like it. And I don't care if it's not top shelf quality, because I can't afford top shelf quality shit anyways. That's why I'm using WPL. But I'm just going to put a gasket in there. I'm going to print one for the front, and I'm going to print one for the back, and that's going to help to kind of just keep debris and muck and stuff out of it. Seal that up, and then they're really smooth. Like you can feel the gears kind of grabbing a little tiny bit the slower you go, but it's so minimal, it's really not a big deal. So I'm gonna do that, and that'll be the next thing to just kind of help with that binding issue. It'd be nice if they put those gaskets in the kits, really. I mean, they're 85 cents. Come on, throw them in, would be good, but whatever. I'm just gonna print them anyway. So there we go. I got some other parts that I'm going to use out of this, like the little servo, and I forgot that I actually used this same one in my Dodge. And I remember the time being like, oh, I don't know if that's going to last, but it's actually stayed and been in there for a couple of years, and it's doing really well. So I'm okay with that little plastic geared servo for what I need. There are some parts that I have ordered to kind of fuse the WPL C34 KM kit with some of the B series kits. The one problem that I have when I was coming up with it initially that I didn't really realize at the time is that this is all done with like shocks and everything like that and links. So when you put that in, the shocks are going to stick through. You might be able to turn them on the side. I think you can probably almost even have them horizontal maybe, and it might be okay. But a guy I had seen had done a similar one, and he had used the leaf springs that were in the B series kits. So I was like, oh, perfect. So I'm pretty sure the B series kits their leaf springs will fit onto these metal axles. And so I'm going to use the little leaf springs that they make, and I bought some leaf springs, and I bought the leaf spring holders that I'm going to put on these axles, and that'll take care of that'll give me my flex and my suspension. And then what else did I buy? Oh, and the tires, that's right. So these tires are they're really big, and I've seen them used and whatnot, but I don't like the look of them. First of all, I think they look just kind of a bit off. So WPL makes I don't think it's WPL. It's another company that makes stuff that you can put on WPL parts, and I think they're like 52 millimeter diameter tires, so they give you a little bit more clearance in the wells, which will be really helpful for turning and steering. So I ordered some of those as well. So those things are all coming in the mail. I'm just going to use an ESC I have at home for it, as well as I have a linear actuator that I've had, and I used it in my first truck that I ever did, and stupid me, I cut the back little mounting piece of it off, which was really not a smart move. But then I later on 3D printed a little gasket that kind of fit in, and it came off and adapted to another little half circle piece that I can use as a mount. So I'm going to put the L16 into this. I'm going to use the ESC that I was going to use for my blue Mack truck, and I'm going to put some different tires on this thing and get this thing going, because I think it's going to be a pretty cool looking truck when I have it finished. And for the price that I'm gonna get everything for, it's gonna be a pretty decent little fun RC, and yeah, I'm gonna go from there. So I might not do any videos on it until I get the other parts for it, just because I don't want to sort of trigger off a bunch of people ordering a bunch of stuff that I say I'm going to use and then find out that it doesn't work, because I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm just willing to spend the money to find it out, so you guys can maybe learn from my mistakes or know that it works. So I'd hold off on buying shit until I got it, or if you know it does, and give her a go for it, whatever. But yeah, I'm just playing around with it and thought I'd make another video because it's been a little while since I've done anything, and look forward to getting this one done. I'm going to use it on my course when it's all finished up, which I'm undergoing some stuff right now. So over here, I've been printing off some street lights that have LEDs in them and stuff, and I'm gonna get these things all lit up as well, and be farting around on the course here for the winter because it's getting nasty outside. And yeah, there we go. So it's gonna be a WPL Bruder Sprinter project for the next little while, and then once this is done, I am finally going to start working on my blue Mac. And right now I'm just trying to get the cheapest price I can find on some 12 volt motors, and I'm going to be redesigning the whole entire suspension assembly and doing my first time on a front axle assembly, because I'm going to make it a 6x6, not a 4x4 like my man cab over is. So that's going to be a fun project I'm looking forward to. But this is one I can pretty much kind of get going with now, because I had nothing else on the go, and thought that it'd be fun to get something happening. So yeah, that's where I'm at with this one right now, and yeah, stay tuned for some more. Thanks.